The human brain. The human brain is a very important part of the chapter Control and Coordination. When we had talked about the central nervous system, we had told that the central nervous system consists of the brain, the spinal cord and the nerves. So let us know about the brain, or let us have an idea about what the human brain is made up of, how does it function, what are its parts and etc. To start with, the human brain can be broadly divided into three parts. This is the first, the forebrain. This is the forebrain. This part is the forebrain. The biggest portion of the brain is called the forebrain, followed by the midbrain. This part is the midbrain. This part I marked midbrain, and the third is the hindbrain. The hindbrain, this part I marked hindbrain. The hindbrain is a very small portion, the lowest portion of the brain, and it's a hindbrain. And this is also, if you think that all the parts of the brain are extremely important based on their functions and based on the living of a human body. So let us talk about each of this part of the brain in detail. First, we'll be talking about the forebrain. So let us now discuss about the first part, or the biggest or the largest part of the brain, that is the forebrain. The forebrain composed of or consists of three parts. Again, the forebrain is divided into three parts, that is cerebrum, olfactory bulb and diencephalon. The cerebrum, as we all know, it is the largest part, or it is the biggest part of the brain, consisting of two hemispheres, the right and the left hemisphere. This is the side view of the brain that I have done. If you see the top view, or if you see the front view of the brain, you can see it has two hemispheres, that is right and the left hemispheres. So if this is one hemisphere, it has another hemisphere just exactly similar like this. So it consists of two hemispheres, the right and the left hemisphere. It is the home of the highest level of cognitive processing. All processing takes place over here in the cerebrum. And the third is, it performs the actions like that of interpreting the sensory organs, or the impulse of vision, hearing, speech, reasoning, and also emotions, learning and fine control movement. Interpreting touch, vision, hearing, as well as speech, reasoning, emotions and fine control movement. Olfactory bulbs, it is related everything to this organ or to the action of the smell, because olfactory refers to smell. And third is the diencephalon. The diencephalon is again divided into thalamus and hypothalamus. The thalamus is mostly concentrated on the sense organs. It takes the impulses from the sense organs and it sends to cerebrum for processing, because that is the processing center of the brain. So there where it gets processed, all these impulses of the sense organs, the thalamus takes care of the impulses of the sense organ, that is of eyes, ears, skin. They all are taken up by the thalamus and it's sent to the cerebrum for their interpretation or their processing. And hypothalamus controls the impulses of emotions, hunger, thirst and body temperature, whereas hypothalamus, it is here, it controls the impulses of hunger, thirst, body temperature and also sweat. So the hypothalamus controls all the involuntary processes like that of emotions, hunger, sweat, thirst, body temperature, etc. So this is all about the forebrain. If you are asked, this is about the forebrain, the cerebrum, the olfactory bulb and the diencephalon. The diencephalon is again divided into thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus, what it does, it takes the impulses of the sense organs, sent it through cerebrum for processing, whereas hypothalamus controls mostly the involuntary actions like emotions, hunger, thirst, sweat, body temperature, etc. So this is about the forebrain. Let us move on to the midbrain. After the forebrain, it's the midbrain. This is the midbrain, or as we understand, it is the middle part of the brain. So it makes up the part of the brain stem. This part is called the brain stem. It makes up the part of the brain stem, and it is located between the forebrain and the hindbrain. The forebrain and the hindbrain. It is located in between the forebrain and the hindbrain, and the sensory information passes through the midbrain, making it the relay station. So all the sensory informations, whichever, it passes through this midbrain. From the cerebrum, means from the forebrain, when it moves to the spinal cord, it has to transfer, or it has to move through the midbrain. When it is coming, it has to come through the midbrain to the forebrain, or it has to move through the hindbrain. So it is the passes through the midbrain, making it the relay station for the reflex movements of head, neck and eye muscles. So it is the relay station, or it is the relay station for the reflex movements of head, neck and eye muscle. So these are the three. The reflex or the relay stations for head, neck and eye muscles is controlled by the midbrain. It is the brain stem. It is located between the forebrain and the hindbrain. So this is all about the midbrain. Now let's talk about the hindbrain, which is the third and the last part of the brain. So this is the last part of the brain that we have. If you remember, we have divided the brain into three parts: the forebrain, the midbrain and the hindbrain. So this is about the hindbrain. The hindbrain can be again divided into three parts, that is the cerebellum, the pons and the medulla oblongata. The cerebellum, as in the cerebellum, it receives the information from all the sense organs like the eyes, ears, muscles, and tells about or gives an information about the current body positioning. If supposedly we are standing, it's the medulla oblongata, it sometimes tells that we need to change our position, the current body positioning. We need to change, we need to walk a little bit, or we need to sit down. So that gives us the sense that okay, we are tired, we need to sit down. So that is done by the cerebellum, followed by it also does the muscle coordination, balance and posture, which are all very important. When we are walking, how to maintain our balance. When we are standing, how to maintain our balance. Posture, how should we sit, how should we stand, how should we walk, how should we do all the activities. This is all maintained by the cerebellum. The cerebellum is this part, this round part, like the tree-like structure that I've drawn. It is just the anterior portion of the brain, or it is the lower portion, because the cerebrum consists of the huge or the enormous portion of the brain. This is just a small portion, and it also assists, and the cerebellum also assists in learning a new motor skill. Supposedly we want to learn, or we are learning a new musical instrument, or we are learn to play a new game, that it all helps. The cerebellum helps to do or to understand all that. Fine. Next is the pons. The pons is here. This is the pons, and this takes care of the respiratory functions for us. And next is the medulla oblongata. The medulla oblongata is again controls all the involuntary actions. The involuntary action means the involuntary actions of digestive system, like that of salivating, swallowing, vomiting, all that, and also the cardiovascular activities like that of your maintaining of the blood pressure, your heart rate, the constriction or the contraction and the relaxation of the blood vessels. These are all maintained by the medulla oblongata. This is the medulla oblongata. So this is the medulla oblongata, this is pons, and this is your cerebellum. These three constitutes the hindbrain. This part is the midbrain, and the cerebrum with that of the hypothalamus and the thalamus constitute the forebrain. The forebrain is the biggest part constituting of the cerebrum. The cerebrum is again, it gives the interpretation of touch and also vision, hearing, and it also helps us to understand about the speech, then our emotions, then our reasoning, learning, all that, remembering. Then it's all done by the cerebrum, followed by your olfactory bulb, which takes care of our smell and smell related affairs. And the last is the diencephalon, composed of, or it can be again divided into thalamus and hypothalamus. The thalamus, it coordinates the sense organs, it coordinates the impulses of the sense organs, and it sends it to the cerebrum. So, and this hypothalamus, it controls the emotions of hunger, thirst, body temperature, sweating. And thalamus, I told you, it controls, or it takes the impulses of the sense organs like that of the eyes, ears, skins, and it sends it to the cerebrum for processing, because cerebrum is the processing unit, of all our whatever impulses we have got from throughout the body. It is the processing unit of the impulses. And this is so more about, it is everything about the brain, the parts of the brain, how we are divided, what is the function of each part of the brain, what does a side or the side face of a brain look like, what are the markings, or how we should label the brain, how we should draw the brain. This is all about the brain, and this is a very important part of the chapter Control and Coordination. This helps us to know about the human brain, and we can easily expect questions from this part of the chapter. So we must be well prepared with this part, may it be the diagram along with its labeling, or the parts of the brain along with its functions. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I will surely come back and answer all your questions.